It's your boy Roshan Gomez, and welcome to the Rumah Roy podcast.
It should be welcome back, isn't it?
That's true. Welcome back to the Rumah Roy podcast. This is long coming. So we've already started the podcast technically.
The audience totally needed to know that again.
Yeah, if you're watching on video, we have video now, by the way. You can see from our Starbucks cups that it's already empty. So you can kind of tell how long we've been sitting and getting things right. Anyway, I'm joined by a very special guest, my good friend for this first episode or 100 and whatever episode continuation.
You can pretend you've been doing podcast episodes in the interim.
My good friend Jeremy Lim, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for this return episode. So, yeah, for those who have been listening or those who are new for the first time, maybe we can introduce ourselves, introduce the podcast, and let's see where it goes from here. So, you want to start?
Yeah, a long time associate and then not associate host of the Rumah Roy podcast. What else do I do? What day job? I'm a researcher. It's not terribly exciting. The more exciting stuff is
we started the podcast in 2020.
Yeah.
So then you hadn't done your masters yet at that point.
No, I was still working in an NGO in one of the private universities in Malaysia. Mm-hmm. Don't need to name their names, okay?
Yeah, and since then you've gotten your masters.
And then gone back to that same private university.
But at least with higher qualifications.
Maybe.
So you did your masters in
the UK, Cambridge. Yeah.
I feel like I should know this, but are you continuing with a doctorate? Are you planning to?
I'm doing my PhD at UM.
UM, wonderful institution. Please sponsor us. Okay, anyway.
Then not doing that in this lifetime, bro.
Okay, so work, studying, any extracurricular activities?
No. These days, the PhD takes up so much of my life. I got to learn math, math that you don't want to do. Economists know what I'm talking about. Everybody else be like, why are you doing math? Like, what does it have to do with anything? But like, let's not go there. Don't want to think about it on a weekend.
So the revolution is not coming anytime soon?
No, man. Not if I have to do math. At least for another year and a half. That'll be all I'll be doing.
Okay. So my name is Roshan. I am a lawyer by profession. I have my own firm, a little modest setup.
Should we say that we're sitting in your firm?
Yeah. So that's maybe, I think we need to explain that the podcast used to be called the Rumah Roy podcast because it was recorded in Rumah Roy. Roy is my father, so Roy's house. If you wanted to come to my house, you would go to the security guard and say Rumah Roy and you come in. So it was kind of like the inside, nice name for the podcast. Now, it's like, when Brickfields Asia College, then they went to PJ. It kind of like...
They still kept their name.
They kept the name, but, So it's, I guess, something like that. I got a little bit of feedback and everyone said they liked the name.
Okay.
So I just decided to stick with it. I was thinking of whether to relaunch and start from zero and get a new name, but
you've got a back catalog also, so it doesn't hurt, I think.
Yeah. So lawyer by profession, now podcaster. What else should people know about me? That's about it, I guess. I serve in church.
You enjoy church,
Yeah, I enjoy church.
Most people don't, to be honest.
Yeah, so I'm a Catholic boy. We'll get into that. But yeah, just happy to be back again. We are joined by our producer, Ryan Tay. Welcome to the club.
He doesn't have his own mic though, sad.
Yeah, we need to get that. We need to rectify that. You should get your own mic as well. Chip in once in a while, yeah. Yeah. We'll set that up. Baby steps. Yeah, so we're excited. A lot of plans. I mean, I do, not to blow my own trumpet, but even till now, I do get people who talk to me about the podcast, oddly enough.
I remember the early days when you had super fans.
Yeah.
I was really enthusiastic and it was cute, but I was like, that's weird, bro.
Bro, don't diss the super fans. Bro.
No, I have to.
They're our future Patreon contributor.
You cannot exploit parasocial relationships for your monetary gain. No.
People investing in our relationship from a parasocial perspective is so funny.
It's so strange.
That's so funny. So it's been crazy. We started that first episode in 2020. We stopped at I think somewhere in 2022.
You went on. Yeah.
No, as in I think I stopped the podcast.
Oh, okay,
In fact,
yeah.
You know, at end
I think
of
people should know that you did like so many episodes of the podcast because I'm thinking back to a few friends who started their podcast, one episode and then tak jalan.
Yeah, I did about 100 episodes, I think.
You sure?
Oh, I have. Wait, hold on.
I stopped at like 60.
I might be wrong. It might have felt like 100, but oh shoot, yeah, you're right. It's 61.
Yeah,
it felt like 100 lah. To be fair, my episodes, some of them were like 3 hours. So if you break it up into 1 hour blocks, I think we hit 100 episodes. But yeah, 61. So I mean, it was a pretty good. And
it's pretty good.
We released one every week at the point
for about 30 to 40 weeks.
Yeah,
which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and you were there at the beginning. Then you were more like a regular character.
Semi-regular, yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully you'll come on, as we go along more. But I'm just happy to have you here for this first episode. We stopped because at one level, I really wanted the video side to come in because we had a good following just on audio, but I felt like it was kind of, not to say a waste, but I felt we were limited with just the audio. And I feel with video, it'll be better. Not to say that I'm that good looking that I'm going to attract fandom, but hopefully we have. That's why we need a camera on Ryan. Ryan is the good looking one here.
I'm going to agree on that one.
We need to cash in on that. Yeah. So
I'm still thinking about like the parasocial like kind of thing because the video does add to that quality a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm like an Indian uncle. I don't see the young ones,
I mean, okay, I don't think people see Joe Rogan as their uncle, but like, there's so many people who...
People see Joe Rogan like, I don't know, like some...
It's more like their bro, lah.
Yeah. Like an older, like a cool cousin or something.
Yeah, but I'm sure there are podcasts where people listen to their equivalent of like their, wise uncle.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm like the wise Indian uncle in the mama just waiting for people to sit down and talk to you and give you unsolicited advice.
Not even 40 yet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so, we were talking a lot before the podcast and I thought the first episode should be a little bit of a reflection of where we were in 2020, where we are in 2026. And in getting all this ready, working with Ryan on setting everything up, buying equipment, wanting to start up this podcast because it's, nice that people still remember and reach out to me about the podcast and when I'm going to get it up. But I had this one question of, is there anything to say? Is there anything to create, to release to the world? And does the world care? And does the world even want anything from me, right? In that sense. But so I thought it'd be a good time to reflect, right? Where we were in 2020 in terms of the world, society, and where we are now, right? Personally. When we started that podcast, the first episode, we were in our late 20s, right? Now we are in our early mid 30s. And things have changed a lot. It's crazy. So, okay, point one. Let's start with point one. In 2020, the world stopped, right?
It was a nice break, to be honest, because work was crazy. I don't know how many people who said like their work was mad.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic shut everything down. I don't know. There were people obviously who had, mental health kind of concerns about being stuck indoors.
Sure.
But there were some people whose jobs were like 12 hours a day suddenly got cut like a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I felt like a bit like one of those people because I suddenly couldn't do any of my NGO stuff. Like I couldn't like be out on the weekends, at talks. Like we were just stuck indoors. And like it felt like I really like kind of refreshed myself during that period. Funnily enough, while the world was, not doing great.
Yeah, but the thing is, it feels like now in 2026, the world is desperately trying to catch up. The world used to move really fast, like you said, before COVID, but it feels like it's even faster now in some ways. I think especially with AI and with everything, like, I guess. I don't know. Do you think so? Do you think the world has sped up, or do you think people have learned lessons from COVID and have learned to smell the roses and all that?
Like, funnily enough, like, I don't know, I someone who's quite socially plugged in, like, socially as in like, social issues kind of thing. I feel like the world has become actually more apocalyptic after COVID because Like I feel like the job market has not gotten better since COVID for a lot of people. It feels like whatever people said about how brutal the job market was during COVID, like post-COVID, people have not changed their tune on that. Right? And I'm someone who wants to be in academia, and academia, in fact, has gotten worse since the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about the legal scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think the legal scene, it's in terms of demand, it's really been affected by AI as well, because to a certain extent, a lot of legal work is replicable and repetitive to a certain extent.
Not to go on a tangent now, but have you tested it yourself?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
So how much checking are you doing after the AI pumps
Oh,
out?
a lot. But it's definitely equivalent to me, lah. To me, it's equivalent to a first year associate's draft. To me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it saved you what?
Maybe I've not been exposed to that great first associates, but
Dissing all the first year associates.
Oh, I made my fandom is diminished extremely. All the first year legal associates have unfollowed me. No, but I mean, I think it's not controversial to say that the drafts are a decent first year draft, right? Of course, you need the technical skill and experience to be able to sort of still give the direction, vision, and but putting up a first draft, yeah, it's good. So I'm really pessimistic about the legal industry when it comes to AI. I think especially junior lawyers have a lot to be worried about, and I don't think they are worried about it.
Okay, so I mean, this is jumping into the tech topic like really fast because I am someone who is an AI doomer.
Sure.
Like I think the industry will crash
Okay.
like very, very fast.
Right.
Maybe because I'm someone who is a socialist, follows like the kind of socialist discourse around AI. But on top of that, I follow like some tech journalists who look at the numbers, say like they're overspending on data centers, they can't fulfill it. Sorry about that. They're looking at the numbers. Like I think the most recent one was even if the data center for I think it's Anthropic, the Claude company. 600 billion spread over 5 years. Every year is 120 billion in terms of your capital expenditure. They only bring in 30 billion. How are you going to quadruple your revenue? So I think one day, either the whole thing will crash or you will have to pay a much larger amount for AI. So imagine now I don't know how much you pay for AI, but imagine it's 10 times what it costs now.
Yeah.
Would you still pay for it?
That makes sense. But I agree with you that there's a bubble for sure. And there is definitely some sort of weird scam going on between NVIDIA and
OpenAI
and even SpaceX. All of them, like all these, the top 7, right? What the Magnificent 7 or the Terrible 7, right?
Nobody should say that. Soon it will be Terrible 7, I think.
That's IP, trademark by Roshan Gomez, the Terrible 7. That there are 7 companies, right, in America that controls like a huge portion of the market share.
Yeah.
If you do like the what do you call it, the SPA,
S&P 500.
S&P 500, these are the top 7.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they're all tech companies. And they all kind of create their own ecosystem and they all kind of like feed each other.
Yeah.
And definitely there's a bubble there, and definitely there's overestimation and overvaluation for sure. I think even SpaceX, when public, I think too much, it's crazy. It's crazy. But it's kind of similar to the .com crash.
Okay.
There was a .com crash. There was hype on the internet and what it could do. There was a crash there as well. But the internet stayed. And I think for sure AI is going to stay. And it's definitely going to change the landscape in a very real way. I think I tilt more towards the latter, which is I think probably the costings are just going to go up. But I do think in terms of the way we work, it's going to be completely different. It's going to change.
I'm a bit skeptical, but yeah, only time will tell, because I think I someone who used some AI tools only more recently because at the start I was like, no, it's not ethical, it destroys the environment, lots of water is being used.
Sure.
I'm like, it cannot do it, because there was lots of talk of the hallucinations.
Sure.
And then recently I started using it just to validate things, to be like, okay, can you tell me if anybody has tried this idea? And then sometimes it'd be useful, and then half the time it wouldn't. So it's still a 50-50 hit rate. So like I am leaning more and more into the camp that there is some kind of use case, but the financial side of it is like not great. And I don't know, for researchers, it's still 50-50. I'm surprised that you're saying the legal side of things, it's okay. Because I'm sure you've heard of the high profile cases where like in Australia, they threw out an entire case because, all of it was ChatGPT. The cases weren't real, all of that. Maybe they'll make improvement, but the question is, will these tools still be around after the bust, right?
Yeah, I think they will for sure.
Yeah?
Because I don't know whether other lawyers will disagree with me, but from a legal perspective, a lot of the work is actually very repetitive and replicable. I'm not saying that all work can be subcon to AI, but I'm saying that, like for example, going through documents and doing due diligence, I think AI is going to be able to do that a lot faster and better. You just going through a document and picking out what are the salient points or summarizing a document, which is what junior associates are expected to do.
I see. Okay.
That is going to be taken over by AI. The part of checking the drafts and strategizing and instinct, how many defendants should I add? What leverage? Those things for sure AI will not be able to do, at least not yet. But yeah, I think there's going to be a big impact on industries like coding, legal, software engineering, those kind of careers. I think. I hope not, but I think so. But I agree with you that the cost now is, because the way they have kind of set it up, they've set it up like YouTube, they've set it up like the internet.
Right.
The fee to enter very low. Like remember when YouTube started, there was no YouTube ads.
Yeah.
There was no YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
It was completely free for anyone. And there were barely any rules also. Right? But once they got a market share, then they started to introduce, right, ads, 5-second ads, and then, whatever longer, and then it became YouTube Premium and all of that.
Yeah.
So I think that part for sure. Right now, they are definitely it's not the pricing is not commensurate. The amount of tokens that, because there are people who even just use the free options and then they just cycle. So like for example, let's say you use ChatGPT, then you hit the limit in terms of, what do you call it, tokens or whatever.
Yeah.
You hit the limit.
Or the prompts, the number of prompts you can drop in.
So then they go to Claude, then they go to Grok, and they just cycle between. But I mean, so this is a good example of how drastically things have changed from 2020. When in 2020, we had no AI at all.
I'm just thinking in 2020, people had no jobs, and now they still have no jobs.
Well, at least we have someone to talk to. Yeah, but 2026, there's things have like changed a lot, right?
I mean, I don't think AI is the only way you think about the world changing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are other things as well. Social media has changed a lot,
I mean, the role of social media in politics is something that I think probably people got to see a taster of, especially after the COVID era. Like the real takeoff of like WhatsApp campaigns and all of that. Like, yeah, the world is different, but I don't know how much of that is because of the pandemic.
2020 had a kind of like
and especially I don't know if people have a sense of this, but like plenty of economists were predicting a recession in 2020, in 2019, and COVID kind of prevented that recession.
Yeah.
Directly, because governments were like, okay, it's an emergency, we'll spend money.
Yeah.
Right. And they put off that recession. And then technically the AI hype cycle in 2024, full swing, is what prevented the recession again.
Yeah.
Like, and people, I would join them in predicting next year a recession will properly arrive.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following the markets a little bit closer as well. Again, going to my uncle era, watching the stock market and like calling people up and like what are they doing? What's going on? Conspiracy.
I hope you know the SE rules about promoting trading on air. If you don't, then I'm not joining you.
I'm not telling you to buy or sell anything. Okay?
Sure.
But even just from as a
layperson.
Layperson, beginner, one thing that surprised me with everything that was going on with the Iran war, these are big things. The market was surprisingly bullish. The market has been surprisingly bullish.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. And from what I understand, the market is only being held up because of optimism.
Yeah.
And that is pretty wild.
Yeah.
That is pretty wild. Yeah.
It's kind of, you do need someone to head to the exits before you feel like you have permission to head to the exit also. So I don't think that's too far away. So people didn't get to experience the second time it's a once in a generation kind of recession. Because I think for those of us who grew up in Malaysia, like 2007, 2008, it really depends what your parents did.
Yeah, correct.
Otherwise, you didn't really feel the effect of that global financial crisis.
Yep.
So this time, I think might be different. So people are pulling up their 1920s Great Recession analogy for like the rise of the Nazis and fascism throughout Europe. Because it funnily enough, that all lines up, right? Because I forgot when the Spanish flu kicked off. That also lines up nicely. In 1910, Spanish flu, Great Depression, 1929. Nazis come to power, 1932, and then World War II.
World War III.
Waiting for that one.
I mean,
it's fun because like people have analogized the past so much since COVID that you can't help but see kind of the pattern kind of emerge after a while.
Sure. I mean, they even draw parallels with the Roman Empire. With there was a refugee crisis.
Oh yeah.
Things like that. They say that these things are sort of cycles.
They rhyme, is it?
Yeah, in a way. They oscillate.
I mean, for you, like, how do you feel that it's changed? Because you have had a career in law before the pandemic and after the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, in terms of work, it's similar. It's just maybe different in terms of AI and things like that.
I think that's the main difference.
Yeah, but in terms of world outlook, I think as a person, definitely I've changed, grown. I think the world. I'm a little bit more pessimistic. You
wouldn't be the only one.
Yeah. In 2020, I think it was kind of like very much this pushback against the woke kind of like.
And for you as a conservative, yeah.
Yeah, I won't say I'm a conservative.
Okay,
I don't know.
conservative leaning.
Yeah, I tilt. So, but I think it's maybe a little bit more different now. I think we've gone past. I think we've moved past that a little bit. You don't have, like Ben Shapiro, the Daily Wire. They were very much at the forefront of this whole like pushback against the woke movement, right?
Sure.
But in a very like Jungian way, they have become their own stereotype, right?
Sure.
Ben Shapiro, who was so against identity politics, has become the poster child for identity politics. He's literally dying on the hill based on his identity. And so I think
being a Jew.
Yeah. What more of an identity is there?
Yeah.
It is the most identity of identities, being a Jew, right? So I think in that sense, it's a watershed moment for a lot of people. Mea culpa, when Trump got elected, I was kind of low-key like, this is, it's nice to see, lips start crying and throwing that, that was nice. But yeah, I think it's been bad. I think it's been bad.
For the world or what?
Yeah, for the world.
Oh,
I think
sure.
it's been bad for the world. I think the first term, I didn't think it was that bad. I thought the first
but it was
term,
so funny though.
Yeah, I thought the first term was entertaining and it was a bit of a shake-up and it was good to see the establishment. I think I had a similar feel of like, it was good to see things burn. It was good to see the establishment get rocked. But the second term, the repercussions are much more serious, in the sense that we can see where people's lives are being affected, people are, wars and people are actually dying.
Yeah.
Kids are being killed, women are being killed, men are being killed. This is where you need serious people, boring people, at the helm. You need some cool heads. Like this, no amount of entertainment
We'll make up for this.
can make up for whatever is going on. So I think in that sense, I've also changed tremendously from where I was in 2020 to where I am now. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I mean, what political position do you think would be different from then to now?
I don't know, man. In some ways, I'm still I'm still
You're more skeptical of the right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say so.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
Because they seem to have gotten their act together.
In what sense?
I mean, the Trump administration, this is, quite a long tangent, but like the Project 2025,
Sure.
they had a long list of things. As soon as they walked in the door, it seemed like Trump already had people telling him like, look, you got to sign this executive order, get rid of all the migrants, don't need to talk about walls.
Yeah.
Let's do ICE, let's do tariffs. Like he had a laundry list and he was actually properly going through them.
Yeah.
And now you think you properly see
Yeah.
the repercussions because like I think in the first Trump term, he had spats with people because people were nice to him.
Yeah.
Now like the people are having spats with him because there's contradictions between like the MAGA nationalists and then the free marketeers in his camp. And so like there are actual contradictions because he's implementing policy for like crypto, for tariffs and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think again in 2020, I'm not saying that the movement was wrong. I think like, the whole Jordan Peterson thing served a purpose at that time. It was speaking truth to something. I still think that.
But where do you think those men are now?
I think they're still around. I think there is still a crisis of masculinity.
Sure.
I think Jordan Peterson was speaking to a real situation, and people, I think to be fair to him, people downplayed what he was speaking to, and that led to the rise of Andrew Tate. That led to the rise of Sneeko. These were, to me, genuine, not Sneeko but Andrew Tate, genuine bad actors.
Sure.
Right? These were genuine bad actors. And because we didn't listen to I think we're too quick to paint Jordan Peterson as a grifter and their whole movement as grifters. We kind of, I think there were a lot of men who were just suffering. They were thrown under the bus. I still hold to that.
Okay.
In fact, I think the research has pretty much, validated that,
Why do you say that?
Think that I'm not sure now, but at least when I was talking about this at that time or maybe 2 years ago, the highest rates of suicides were men.
Okay.
The highest number of the men were the most incarcerated for
Sure.
violent crime. Men were dropping out from education.
Sure.
Highest rates, and that has a political implication because the men who were dropping off from like pursuing their studies in college you could predict how they were going to vote, and they would vote right.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
there were like predictions and so there were important considerations, and it's not on this point. It's not only in America, even Malaysia. Nurul Izzah was talking about how there are now less boys in university than girls.
Yeah.
Right? It's a crisis. So why? Why is this happening to guys? Now, does that mean that I'm downplaying what women go through? Am I saying that, women are the cause of it, that women don't have any struggles? No. I'm just saying that men and women generally have different dynamics and generally are going to have different problems. There's going to be a lot that are similar, but in the extremes, it's going to be different. Right? Because I think men and women generally are valid for different things, generally speaking.
Not to thread a topic that we've already covered
Many
on your
times.
podcast.
This is a Rumah Roy.
Very classic
Oldie
issue.
and Goldie. Let's go. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think there was a new solution to a lot of these problems, even if you wanted to characterize them as necessarily gender based, right? The world's now gotten better. I don't think if you wanted to come up with an alternative, obviously you and I would dispute the alternative to Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Mine being socialism, yours being something else.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the solutions have not become clearer for anyone, but there's a moment of polarization actually happening and deepening across the world, because I think the situations have gotten worse.
Yeah, I think so.
It goes back to something we've been talking about here. Like, I mean, earlier before we started recording, like how do Malaysians perceive the UNO administration now?
Yeah.
Do they feel their lives better or not?
Yeah, so I think in 2020, I was kind of I was drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, in the sense of we can sense and feel that there was a problem, and anyone that was against or refused to identify that problem, we put in a particular category of persons. And
You mean the crisis of masculinity?
not just that lah, I think during that time it was all about the rational people and the feeling people, right? And
That's an interesting way to dichotomize it.
But I heard a quote somewhere. I can't remember who said it, but the person basically was saying like, look, you need to have. I know you're going to get upset hearing this. This is going to disagree, but just follow me. Is it you need to have the mind of a conservative and the heart of a liberal?
Okay.
In the sense that, like, for example, right, when you take an issue of immigration,
Okay.
right? Now, definitely, I think we can agree that a state should have borders and should be able to enforce its borders, right? I'm not talking about refugees, but I'm talking that even for like economic reasons, you illegally cross, right? That should be discouraged. There should be penalties and ways to discourage that from happening. That would be, I would think, a more logical way to look at it.
Okay.
That is, I would say, a more traditional conservative view. But I think like what Trump is doing now with ICE and everything, that's where you're lacking heart, because you can't diminish their humanity. They're still human beings, right? And so that's where I feel that it can't be two extremes. Then why can't there be a middle of like, we have borders, we enforce our borders, but these are also human beings, and we're going to treat them like human beings, right? So you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like that kind of simplification, I don't know if it's because the example you chose.
Okay.
We could pick another one like abortion or whatever. But like that one ignores a lot of like the history, who is coming across the borders, why I think America bears a large amount of responsibility for taking in those refugees because of its imperial crimes, all the things it's done to make sure that, capital is accumulated in its borders or corporate interests are protected abroad, that kind of thing. So like, I feel like that in a if they for a YouTube segment they put a conservative and a liberal in front of each other to debate, a lot of this gets glossed over even by liberals in terms of like the history of the world system coming together. Most people are talking like you're talking about. Just talk about one nation as though it's almost an island, right? The singular subject. You're not talking about the world, what it's going through, or like even how migration has worked like historically in the time of empires and all of that. So like, I don't know. I feel like that kind of dichotomy has died. Like even the way you couched it is almost like how liberals hoped that all these discussions would go. It would not descend into a shouting match. It would be people who like politely agree to disagree and like all of that. And like now that the world has become so catastrophic that this won't work for most people.
Yeah, I think I keep going back to the 2020s, but during that era, it seemed like the conservative movement, and it's so funny that we are talking, we are a Malaysian, but the zeitgeist is so American, right?
If you speak English.
If you speak English, and and America is a bubble on its own. It's
Yeah, sure.
It's something on steroids, basically. But
I like to study. I mean, I think for me, it's something fascinating to study,
yeah, sure.
provided you want to understand the whole context of it. lah.
Yeah, but at the time, I think my finger on the pulse, it felt like the conservatives were in a way more rational and willing to dialogue compared to liberals, because liberals came more from, to me, an emotive space. And how things have changed in that sense is, no, now everybody in a way is speaking from an emotive space. Now to me, both liberals and conservatives, or at least the hardliners, are speaking from, to me, a place of no logic. It's not rational anymore. It doesn't make sense. Like what is happening with Palestine, what is happening, it just all to me doesn't make sense. The immigration, it doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense to me. And
Since you decided to give me the pulpit, I think you failed to mention
go for it.
the small block of socialists who have a different position to both, right? Because if you want to say it's emotive, yeah, I still think the quote unquote woke people in the Democrat Party who only care about identity politics are still there, are still trying to shut down the Zoran Mamdanis and the Democratic Socialists of America who are in the Democratic Party. So in that sense, if you wanted to pick out those ultra liberals and then pick the fascists from inside the Republican Party, those two do look like the extremes, and then those are the two kind of ends of the spectrum. But I think I don't know how much you follow like Zoran Mamdani's like Instagram account, but like the way he's delivered like policy and all of that seems more like the antidote to like even the crisis of masculinity than either of these extremes. So it is then just going back to a politics where I don't know how many hundred. I mean, maybe like you have to go back 100 years to find liberals who cared about bread and butter issues.
Yeah, so I think that's what I also mean. Like it looks to me like Mamdani has come out of that whole like woke kind of discourse, and he sort of learned from that. And I feel like
That's not fair to say, because these socialists have very different traditions.
Do you consider AOC a socialist?
Okay. That one, you're asking me if you ask my opinion, a personal opinion?
Yeah.
No. But I am not someone who, because she said she's a democratic socialist.
Yeah.
I don't think she knows what she means.
So that's my point.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my point. I think in the 2020s, that whole era, there was a lot of performative socialism. Sure. There was a lot of performative. Again, a lot of emotive. That's kind of like what I mean by emotive. There was a lot of virtue signaling, cloud chasing. And I think young people, that's why Ben Shapiro became like the secret, like how
he seemed rational in a space where people were just shouting.
He was countercultural. He was, like young kids were in the middle of the night watching Ben Shapiro videos, hiding from their mom. Compared to it was like when we were listening to Eminem. That the culture really did change in that sense.
Okay,
young guys, young girls were, listening to a lot. Ben Shapiro was based. Right, based was a big word, right?
Sure.
So I think like Mamdani and a lot of people have, well, not a lot, but at least Mamdani, I do agree. It feels like he's kind of shed that kind of performative. He's just zoomed in on the issues.
I feel like I feel not personally attacked. That's not the right
word. Now we go to the healing, the reconciliation,
because I think there is this narrative about the left as though liberals should be part of the socialist tradition.
Sure.
And then socialists who've been forced to enter liberal spaces to make their case look like they're part of the liberal establishment.
Yeah.
When fairly or unfairly, they needed to enter this space to kind of make their case. So like to say that Mamdani comes from that tradition, like.
Okay, can I give you another example?
Okay.
Maybe AOC is a bit extreme. Okay, but let's go someone who's a bit more learned. Hassan Piker.
Okay.
Would you consider Hassan Piker a socialist?
Yeah.
But so my thing about Hassan Piker is, I don't know, I feel again it's super performative.
But I think, so that's where I think I would agree with you, it's performative.
Yeah.
But he's doing it because he understands how to perform. And he is doing it as almost a strategy. I don't know if you've seen his more quiet moments where he's not shouting at shouting at his chat like for hours at a time and asking his chat to shut up.
That's hilarious. That's pretty funny.
But like, as someone who identifies and reads all the material and like loves the theory and stuff, like when he sits down with like these scholars, like he really knows his stuff. I don't know if you think that he doesn't believe it, but like, I feel that there are moments where I've seen him put his money where his mouth is. Of course, people love to dunk on him for his house, and then apparently like he lives in a very small house. After spending $2 million,
wasn't he like shocking his dog or something? That was like a bit.
That one.
That's so funny.
That one, I'll consider a personal attack on his behalf. No problem. I'll take the heat for that one.
I guess like for me, I think what has happened is I've just become even more disillusioned with both sides.
Sure.
And I think, I guess where maybe in the past, I would have only seen it on the left. I've seen it even more clearly in figures that like the Daily Wire, that I thought were a little bit more rational, a little bit more logical, but then they showed their
true colors
in that sense, right?
Sure.
In the end, they are all kind of like ideologues to a certain extent. There are very few people that actually have principles and they stand by their principles irrespective of where the crowd is going.
The first person I thought can think about who like sticks to his principles, like I don't know why David Icke came to mind. His narrative is so consistent.
Crazy is not, we don't talk crazy.
But he's so consistent, bro.
I mean, I have respect for like, I do respect Bernie Sanders.
Sure.
I think, I respect his loyalty to the Democratic Party after all they've like
that one. No, I cannot bro.
Yeah. Has your political views changed at all from when we first started podcast to now?
I mean, I think it's shifted because I remember there were podcast episodes where you mentioned that I will not spending time starting the revolution. I've never been in favor of revolution. So, let it be on the record in case the Malaysian government needs like a snippet. Hopefully they play it in court.
No, I'm only snipping the part where
uploading the whole thing, right? I'll go and find the clips and then put it up. I don't know. I think as someone who's spent a lot more time understanding corruption. So like one of the big things I did during the pandemic was try to understand why the government didn't handle the COVID pandemic as well as it did. And one of the key things I've realized is that is something that some of us might have noticed, but not all of us have noticed, is that why corruption in Malaysia occurs. There are two reasons why corruption in Malaysia occurs. One is because politicians like the money and they're probably spending it on themselves, on Mercedes or whatever. There's another kind of component to what the corruption money is spent on. It is to maintain
the machinery.
The political machinery, right?
Yeah.
You know this because maybe you used to intern with Nick Nazmi, you have
not saying that Nick Nazmi did that. I'm not trying to...
No, not all political machinery needs to be corrupt.
Correct.
But political machinery is incredibly expensive.
100%.
You need to rent spaces. Your one constituency for an MP or an ADUN would require dozens of service centers staffed by volunteers or paid staff.
Do you think those flags are printed for free?
Some people might. I don't know.
They are not.
They are recycled from year to year, actually. It's quite sad if you think about it. They have to keep it for 5 years. And then the old uncles who work for DAP like, okay, we're going to go take it out again. It will be a fun carnival. But the cost of political machinery is a good chunk of why corruption exists.
Yeah.
Right? And if you think about why politicians... The part that really got me was why was being in opposition such a bad thing? Why were they so desperate to be at the head of a government? It's because they're pilfering its ministries for money, right?
Again, we're not saying any specific government, any specific. We're just talking.
I didn't mention which administration.
General, theoretical.
Why not all of those? Is that legal to say?
Let's get sued by everybody, every single party, every single administration.
One administration that can't sue us is probably the Najib administration. But But basically, I think that has given me a kind of different appreciation for what it takes to change political culture in Malaysia. There's so many Malaysians who expect their politicians to spend time, quote unquote, valuable time, going to fix potholes, listening to their stories, getting their water issues in their privately owned apartment fixed, as though MPs are meant to do this job. So all of this is part of like a kind of culture where Malaysians kind of expect MPs and aduns to do the job of like a local councillor.
Yeah.
And that sucks up time, that sucks up money, and that inadvertently creates the need for corruption and patronage and all this stuff. And like, it makes me kind of appreciate that running a government is not easy.
Yeah.
I have some sympathy for, the Anwar administration and like why it might be engaged in certain things, because like sometimes when people ask me like, why is it so bad? I'm like, they need money to run political parties, right?
Yeah.
Are you giving them money? Like, no, if you're not signing up, because something, my partner says like, why didn't Charles Santiago get re-elected in Klang? I'm like, if you're not going to be a DAP member and go and vote for Charles Santiago at a branch, you can't get Charles Santiago re-elected, right?
Yeah.
So there are lots of these things that I think I've had a very different appreciation for. I don't think I've shifted my political positions. But
Practicalities.
Yeah, the fact that money is such a ubiquitous thing and it's such like a monster, because like I think I've had to think through like, okay, so how do we dismantle corruption? My God, you're going to pull your hair out. You'll be like, you got to dismantle it here all the way to the top. You're going to stop creating the need for corruption, because corruption, again, isn't just the, police officer asking you for something, right? That money is probably just to supplement his income. But the fact that he needs to supplement his income is also part of a larger political problem and all of that. So like, yeah, I think my spiel for what's wrong with Malaysia has just become longer.
Yeah, I mean, it's that saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Not every corrupt person might be a villainous figure.
Yeah.
They may be facing some hard realities. If I want to change the world or change the country, I need to get re-elected. For me to get re-elected, I need to put myself out there. And that's going to take money, right?
Yeah, so like that's where it's at, because like, I mean, imagine if socialist governments come to power and be like, shit, we've got to engage in all of this. Was it worth it to fight all the way to the top to be like, oh, I've got to dirty our hands and then lose the next election?
Yeah.
So that kind of
I mean, I also, because I wondered why, like, for example, Democrats in America would take like APEC money, for example. It feels like political suicide. I mean, I would think you would have the common sense to, you accuse people of being bought, but you're being bought as well.
The American system is probably the craziest one. The craziest one, because there's no room for corruption.
Yeah.
You can't go and pilfer your ministries.
Yeah.
You got to beg rich people for money.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot who it was a quote from. I don't know if it was AOC or someone from the squad. But like, they were saying like they spend half their time just on the phone with donors. Be like, can I have some money? I really need the money. Will you give my, like, they've got to negotiate their own money. And then the party at the central level can dictate whether you get any money or not. Because if you oppose the central party, they'll be like, oh, no money for you. Good luck. We're going to fund your opponent.
Yeah, and then you also understand why it's harder for people to be principled.
Yeah.
And people are in that way incentivized to say things and do things that get you that clout, because in the end of the day, it's going to translate to money. People are going to be more incentivized to fund you, donate, when their emotions are riled up.
Yeah.
Right. And so, it's like a populist thing, I guess.
Yeah. And then I mean, the funnest part is, the crypto lobby had one of its best years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, what about you personally? How have you changed? What's the era that you're entering or are in now? Any difference or still the same?
I think back on it, not much has changed in terms of, again, my being busy. Yeah, I think maybe the one thing I'll say has changed is kind of like the kind of realization that I am no good at organizing. I can only write. Because I think during the pandemic, like we're all stuck at home. I convinced like 7 other people from my organization to be like, yes, we're going to go and join this online course. 8 weeks. It starts at 12 a.m. and ends at 2 a.m. because they're organizing it internationally for everyone around the world. There were thousands of participants. We're going to learn how to organize unions. And then the pandemic was still on and we're like, oh, there's no opportunity to organize unions. We wouldn't know where to start. I also, like after a while, just realized I just don't have the personal acumen for it. I just don't, like I'm really scared to talk to strangers or like people and like to talk to them about something as awkward as like going up against the employer. I just don't have the acumen for it. Like, and so like, I think maybe it's something of a settling into the idea that, okay, this is not the role for me. That kind of thing. I could be a fundraiser. I can write your speeches. I just don't have the people skills for some of this stuff. Yeah.
What about your outlook in respect of the world? Are you more pessimistic, optimistic? Are things sort of moving in what you expected? Not?
I think it's so much more exciting that Trump is at the head. Like the World War II, the interwar period analogies about like Adolf Hitler. It's all kind of crazy to think about because like I think there are aspects of Europe that a lot of us don't see. The funniest was like, I mean, the lighthearted part is, I don't know if you saw this Instagram post about like this Singaporean who went to live in Switzerland. And then she was like, oh, I suddenly have empathy for like the migrants who live among us because now I know what it's like to be discriminated in Switzerland as a Singaporean Chinese. And people are dunking on her, right? But I think, because you were in the UK for a bit, and I don't think I experienced much of this, but so many people experience racism in Western Europe, not just in the UK, right? And then a friend of mine also said like, she was there during the pandemic years, 2020, 2021. Like apparently it's regular for Germans to just go and firebomb kebab shops in Frankfurt.
Damn.
Yeah, and these kind of things just don't get reported. So like, you know, I think the reality of what it is like to live there as someone who's not from there is not completely like dawned on us. Many of us will have been to like major cities in the UK. It seems fine. But I think it will be a different experience to be there now, you know, as a colored person, as someone who looks different. And so like, in terms of back to my world outlook, I think it's exciting that things are happening. I feel like it's not great for the people who have to be there, but it feels like history is moving in a way that I think most of us would never thought we would see. You know, we thought it would be just capitalism rolling on as it had in the 2010s. This kind of optimism. Things were getting worse, but getting worse slowly. Now they're getting worse very quickly, you know, and it feels like the world will change in a way that we would never expect in the next like 10, 15 years. Yeah, I don't know what about you. If you had to guess where the world would be in 10 years.
Man, I really have no idea. I have no idea what Trump is doing. I have no idea it's no rhyme or reason. I agree with you in the sense that whenever there's been a big figure in history, you know, you look at your...
Comparing like Trump to Napoleon.
Yeah, kind of. You know, Alexander the Great. Okay, not apples to apples, but
sure.
You know, Alexander the Great, Napoleon, even Hitler for that matter, right? Whenever there's been big figures that have, in a very radical way, created waves around the world, it usually does follow with a period of peace after. You know, because it's normal. You have chaos, right? You will want stability. You experience too much of stability, you start to want some chaos.
I don't know. I'm not someone who subscribes to the hard times make strong men make good times make weak men. And then it goes round. I'm not somebody who believes in that, because as someone who understands that capitalism also comes in waves, in ebbs and flows, this could be really the down cycle. But,
I believe in a very oscillating I believe,
sure, that-
so, everyone just oscillates. Society oscillates. You have. I think we grew up in a time that was reacting very strongly to communism. It saw very clearly the downsides of communism
Sure.
or authoritarianism.
Authoritarianism. Yeah.
Correct, right? But now this next generation, I think, is looking at the perils of democracy, of political corruptness, and
Yeah. Okay.
So it goes back and forth, lah. It goes back and forth. Then you're going to go from from a democratic outlook. You're going to go. You're going to magnate or be attracted to an authoritarian figure. Then you're gonna I somehow think it goes that way.
Well, I think history will see. I don't know. I'm not someone who necessarily thinks it oscillates that way. Because like if we're this is really theoretical about like the end of empires. So like the American Empire is supposedly having its is going to go down in the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
The same way like they've mapped out the Dutch went down, the British went down, all of that. And so, I think that will be kind of the kind of pattern we're looking at, not necessarily the swing back and forth between democracy and authoritarianism. What comes next, I think, could be anything. But
yeah, so you're excited about what's happening now, and is that because you foresee something positive coming out of all of this,
no,
or you're just like, this is thrilling to see?
Because I think some of us will get to watch it as like an experiment that plays out almost in a laboratory. Because I think a country like Malaysia, if America and China go to war, I don't think we'll be that close to the front lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might suffer the consequences economically in terms of like stuff.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get as hard hit. In the sense that I think I wouldn't call it excitement, but when I think about how the Palestine issue could ever be resolved, the Palestine issue will be resolved the day America falls apart, when it goes to civil war. Then the Israelis will be like, okay, it's do or die. And then, you got to hope the Arab countries come to the aid of the Palestinians, otherwise they're all gone.
Even the Israelis it doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense.
Why?
I don't know, man. Even like their reaction to Trump when Trump was trying to pull back, right? And the rhetoric, right? Some of them were like, politicians were speaking negatively about Trump.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't make, when I was saying about how like logic being rational, to me, I'm not saying that you have to say, I would at the very least think that you would think strategically. And to me, I don't see how that is strategic at all.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that, I'm not like a Trump supporter here and saying that you should not defame the great name of Trump. But I'm just saying, to me, it just doesn't make sense.
No, yeah. But the how crazy Israeli society is, you can find lots of clips on YouTube about. But basically, there's so many problems in the world that seem to originate from the US empire that watching it fall would at least be history moving forward, right? In a way that I think we would never get to experience. Because I think even the fall of the Soviet Union wasn't an event here, right? So I don't feel like it is the same as the British Empire falling, the way that World War II ended.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we had a taste of kind of the communism narrative through like Jinping and things like that.
I don't think it's the same because I think the West experienced the fall of communism very differently.
Sure. Yeah,
because not in the sense that you might think, in the sense that most people have traced this idea that after the fall of the Soviet Union, capitalist governments be like, okay, there's no need to take care of people. Because in general, there's a lots of evidence, like documentary evidence, that the French, the British, the Americans all took care of their people with social security, with healthcare, with education, because the threat of communism was constantly at its door. And they had to show that they were treating their people better than the Soviets.
Yeah.
Once that threat went away, they were like, what's the big deal? Let's just go and make money.
And that's why China is such a threat.
Yeah.
Right? Because it gives an alternative
Yeah.
view. I mean, gone are the days where they could just downplay China as being a third world, country. Now, they're pretty advanced.
And China maxing. I mean, everybody should go and China max.
It was like, I love those clips of like Fox News people in China.
Oh, it was so funny.
And they were like so shocked
the
by
robots and all of that.
Yeah, man. This I don't know, man. It's just crazy times. It's crazy times.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? We've come this far. I'm just genuinely curious whether anybody is finding this interesting at all.
This is always the risk with listening to the Rumah Roy podcast, especially when you don't have a guest, when we don't have topics. We ran off the rails for all 3 topics, I think.
Yeah. We've kind of like...
We should have just talked about Jordan Peterson for the full hour.
You just before the podcast, you told me he might be dead, so let's not speak ill of the dead.
I don't have that principle. We should go for it. I don't have that principle.
Okay, fine. We each pick a person that we admire that the other can dunk on. So you can dunk on Jordan Peterson. Who are you gonna give me? Like what? Mao Zedong or
Hassan Piker.
Hassan Piker. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Hassan Piker has so many qualities that are so annoying. I've got to love it when people hate him.
I actually do like it when Cheng and him do episodes together.
Oh
they
my
both start
god,
fighting.
it's so annoying.
They start shouting at each other. It's hilarious.
As someone who agrees with Hassan, I don't know why he chooses to have his uncle on. I just don't get it. I'm like, it's not. I mean, I don't know. I get frustrated.
I don't even know how the Young Turks are. They're still relevant somehow. They're kind of surviving.
I think it's because of those ultra liberals you talk about.
Yeah.
Because I think
I'm curious to know what you think about that whole. Anna Kasparian just sat down with Candace Owens.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they both were kind of like lazing each other up a little bit.
When I see Anna Kasparian, I just click away. When I see Candace Owens, I click away.
Yeah.
When I see Tucker Carlson, I'm like,
Interesting figure. Don't know where to put him exactly.
I mean, because there's so many people who say don't. Because of the Palestine and the whole Gaza and Palestine issue. There was lots of discussion about whether to trust right wingers who've come over to this issue.
Yeah,
but I think plenty of people have talked about historical examples. Just because they line up with you on this one issue, they're not going to. It's not great to attach your whole ship to this because they might outshine you on this issue.
Yeah,
or that kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, I mean
things. I think, this I still believe, people are complicated and people are fluid. And fluid in the sense that I can believe one thing that coincides with what you believe.
Yeah.
And I could believe something else that, I think both of us believe that everyone should be treated with respect and dignity. We may disagree on things like abortion, for example.
Yeah.
Right? But people are complicated. It would be scary, I think, if I were able to know all your talking points. That's to me the defining characteristic of an ideologue. If the question is asked to you and I know your answer, then you're just speaking talking points. You're not really saying anything. There's no nuances. That's why that's why I just find the whole Ben Shapiro thing so hilarious, because really he's become a caricature. Really, you talk about this whole Jungian idea of you kind of manifest what you suppress in a way, right?
Sure.
And so much of these conversations about ideologues, and you become what you spoke about so much. You became famous for talking about
free speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we're talking about what do you call it? The Overton
window.
Yeah. Suddenly we are like, oh no. When it's something I don't like, right? then yeah.
There's an exception.
Then we believe in limitations for free speech. It's ridiculous, lah. So but anyway, yeah. I really am very curious to know whether anybody has found this interesting whatsoever. We've gone all over the place. But I wonder, what do you think? Do you think there's anything it's a bit tough question, but do you think that there's anything we still, or I, have to say that would be of any value to the world? And what do you think that would be. Do you think, or do you have any ideas of what this podcast should look like or be moving forward? And I'll just give you like a bit of background.
Sure.
Like I said, when I was thinking about starting up the podcast, thinking about we should do, one thing that, and so I was going back and forth, is there still anything to say? Is there still anything to talk about? Would people listen? But when I did survey the podcast landscape, I just felt like it seems like the Malaysian podcast reflects Malaysian society in the sense that the things that sell are still politics,
Yes.
race,
Sure.
and certain subcultures.
Okay.
How to date, like
Oh, God,
that kind of like
okay. Don't need to name the podcast. I know which one. Yeah. No.
like what property to buy. Like very
Oh, boy.
subculture. So it's that. But I have to believe, or I do believe, that there's much more to this country and people than just that. There must be more than just politics. Why? It's like, it's so weird because it's like our politicians are like our Hollywood figures. Like how Hollywood gossips about. Did you watch the KJ interviewed what's that guy's name? The MCA guy, the sex scandal.
Did he?
Yeah. What's his name again?
Shoot.
Damn it.
Chua Soi Lek.
He interviewed Chua Soi Lek.
Why?
Recently, it was so hilarious. Let me just tell you. So it was him. So I'm so bad at. It's KJ and who's the other guy?
Shahril Hamdan.
Shahril Hamdan. So
Co-host of the
hey, sorry, Shahril. I know you're a fan. My apologies. I respect you a lot. I would like to go to the gym with you. You look like you keep fit. But yeah, a lot of respect.
He lives in BSD, by the way.
Huh? Serious?
Yeah, he's from BSD. I think.
Damn.
Can ask Putri about the details. So, yeah.
So, but anyway,
he was from.
so
BSD.
it's so funny, right? Because they started a podcast and then KJ is doing the whole spiel and talking about, Chua Soi Lek and he was a maverick and long thing, right? Then Chua Soi Lek, the first thing he says is like, let's start from the beginning. A video was released of it.
Great.
He literally starts and he just goes through it.
Oh boy.
And then like Shahril Hamdan was like gonna ask a question. He was like, actually I didn't know you were gonna go there. Then KJ was like, yeah, I'm sweating, man.
He probably gets asked that at every wedding, every dinner party he goes to. You're like, bro.
And the thing is, in America, you hear a lot of people gossip and talk about sex tapes of celebrities. In Malaysia, even our sex tape scandals are about politicians.
Mm-hmm.
They really are the figures that we gossip about, we look up to, we idolize. And to me, at least, if I gossip about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift,
Sure.
they actually are talented, right? Travis Kelce is an actual athlete, right? You can even argue that he might be one of the top athletes in the world.
Sure.
I think Taylor Swift, for you to reach that level of success with that longevity, right? You have to have some talent, right? Whether it's managing people or whatever it is, but it's not easy. Everybody is eyeing for that spot. So these are people, to a certain extent, I can understand why. This is the capitalist side of me, right? Where they have value and so they get the attention, they get everything, right? Can we be honest? What do Malaysian politicians really do well? What have they really done, to what merit do they have?
I think this is where like I'll do like the cultural history, cultural theorist kind of thing. Sure. I think just a quick like 2 minutes on it. Like I have a theory that Malaysia doesn't have a monoculture, in the sense that because there's so many languages. If you look across, let's not even add the whole list of Sabah and Sarawak, but like if it's Malay, English, Tamil, and Mandarin, there's no monoculture that cuts across this. And it's very difficult to find figures that cut across these so easily. Of course, you can think like, oh, people know Siti Nurhaliza, people might know P. Ramlee, But these are largely exceptions. And in the modern era, there are very few kind of cultural figures that cut across that language spectrum. And also up and into East Malaysia. So who ends up being recognizable across these categories? Politicians. And so, like, I think it just happens to be the case that our politicians are not chosen on merit. And then there's also this lack of a monoculture. That why, these are the people that dominate the podcast landscape. Because, like, there are politicians who are starting podcasts that really have no business starting podcasts. And I don't want to name names in case I have to be on any of these in the future for like my job or for a paycheck or whatever.
Zaid Ibrahim.
Oh boy. You can cut that that reaction at least.
I mean, I would love to have him on the podcast because I think
he's not coming on your podcast,
I know he's
bro.
not coming, I know. But I mean, he has interesting views. But sometimes I do watch and I'm like, interesting.
My interesting is a bit more like interesting. But also cut that, right? But yeah, this is my theory of like why the podcast landscape is so bare. But I don't know. I mean, as I was thinking, like, why are you starting up this podcast again? Right? It feels like I wanted to relate it back to my experience of not writing when I have an idea. Right? Because like now I'm busy with my PhD, I've got work, I've got events coming up, so I'm doing lots of logistic stuff. Like I really want an outlet rather than just like mindlessly consuming stuff. And I do really enjoy writing, the research process, but I just don't have that long span of time. So like for me, when I write, it's really catharsis, right? So, some people start their podcast because it's fun. It's an outlet, it's a way to de-stress, your production work is so bare. You've got 3 points written in bullets and no script. If the preparation is like that, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, aside from having wider goals, it could just be catharsis. I don't know.
I love that, right? I love that because as you're speaking, it reminds me that it's kind of a basic human experience to want to
Create things. Yeah.
I mean, that's why cavemen scribbled on caves. I don't think they expected their stickman figures to be studied or to survive or to be analyzed. They drew it because it's the human condition to want to leave something behind, right? Legacy.
Yeah.
Legacy is super important to us intrinsically. That's interesting.
Because I mean, a part of me has debated like, why do I write? Nobody reads anymore. Right? Why would I write 2,000 words and hope that people read it? But the thing is, like, my friends still read it.
Yeah.
Right? I've gotten praise of sorts from people I didn't expect to get praise from for some of my writing. So it just that kind of stuff keeps me going. And if it's just those people that read it, I think I might be satisfied with that. Of course, I'd like a larger readership. But yeah, it could be as simple as that. I don't know.
Do you think there's a space for, I don't want to say intellectual, I wouldn't put myself in that bracket, but, aspirationally intellectual, somewhat trying to, at the very least, just have a little bit more deeper, substantive conversations that move beyond the realm of, I mean, we've spoken a lot about politics, but, to speak just beyond politics and other things, do you think there's a demand for that?
Because my partner is someone who listens to podcasts with an outcome.
Yeah.
Right? She listens to like the BBC Science Show.
Yeah.
It's half an hour.
Yeah.
You learn something by the end.
Sure.
This is not what the Joe Rogan experience is about. You are sitting there for 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
And you might learn nothing.
Yeah.
Right? You might happen to learn something.
Yeah.
But I think for some of us, if I think these days, whatever you might think of Joe Rogan, I think he's just still doing it kind of for fun.
Yeah, I'm quite sure he doesn't need it.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure he's fine.
So, I mean, aside of it being for fun, like, people are hanging out. I mean, if you consider yourself intellectually curious, that might be something that people might resonate with. because you're not going to. It's not KJ and Ong Kian Ming talking about politics.
Yeah.
You're like some of that can go into quite nitty gritty details, but I'm not sure that. I don't think that's what you're going to be doing. So, I mean, it could be. Your appeal could really be that it's relatable, lah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, again, a lot of things sticking out as you speak, but I guess what I'm envisioning for myself now is also a journey for me to. I don't want to box myself in. I don't want to be an ideologue. I do have beliefs, like you said, they lean a little bit more conservative. I believe like in God and in meaning, in objective truth, but I don't think I want to box myself in and only listen to other people who agree with me and build a worldview that just sort of confirms itself. Sure. I would rather speak to people who have we are close friends, we have very different views, but I feel, at least from me, I do learn a lot when I speak to you. And it challenges me to see things differently. And to me, that's life with a little bit more of depth. I think it's kind of boring if you just saw everything as one color tinted, lens, So I just so we are going to move forward to try to have deeper conversations that hopefully challenge my worldview, or at least deepen it, or give me perspective, and then we're just going to release it to the world and
see what happens.
Yeah, and see and satisfy the human desire to have something after you die. So I think that's a good place to end right
It's
there.
far too philosophical for something that's gone on for about an hour.
I apologize if this was a little bit clunky. It's a long time since we've done a podcast. I'm not sure if there's going to be any issues.
Good luck clipping this by theme.
Ryan has got a lot of work to do. If there's any issues, I do apologize. If you have any guests you would like me to speak to based on the terms of reference we just set out,
You could go and listen to the back catalog also.
yeah, you can go look.
Roshan totally forgot what the format would be.
We had to play one of the episodes to see how I used to start the podcast. Now I just realized I don't know how we end the podcast. I think I kind of vaguely remember. Anyway, yeah, and
It's too late to play the clip
And
now.
if you have any topics that you want us to cover, we used to do a mix, right? We used to do like movie reviews. We used to have conversations with random people. Anything you think worth covering, how do you contact us?
You gotta set it up. Just say it's in the description. Don't worry about it.
The email will be in the description, or you can DM us. The Instagram handle is still the Rumah Roy Podcast. DM us, email us, and we'll work on it. Okay, if I remember properly, I used to end with some sort of game or activity or whatever, but we're not going to do that. But
Please.
the tag that we used to do was stay good, healthy, and safe. Something like that,
If people listen to the back catalog and they don't find this,
No, it was something like that. Like stay healthy, stay good, stay safe, or something like that. Anyway, stay
He
healthy.
said that because of the pandemic.
I think it still applies.
Sure.
We have other things going on. What's the latest virus moving around? Wasn't it like a monkey virus or something? Or something? Anyway,
I don't know.
Yeah, stay good, stay healthy, stay safe, and we are done.